Can you believe it's already been 100 videos? Isn't that crazy? And today we're going to do something a little bit different, but I'll get to that in a minute. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today, while I craft on something a little bit different, I'm going to give you a chance to get to know me a little better. So we're going to be popping in and out of crafting and have a little chat time in my little fireside chat place. Grab your favorite beverage and let's get to crafting. Here is a sneak peek into the project we are going to be working on today. Now this came from CuteBee, and it is kind of like a puzzle and a miniature all rolled into one. And you guys know how I love my miniatures and I love to puzzle. And so I just thought this would be a very fun opportunity to do something different and make this little miniature coffee shop. According to the box, this will take me somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 hours to assemble, and it does have a difficulty level of 4 out of 5. So it is going to be on the more difficult side, but you guys know me, I love a good challenge, and I am so excited to put this together. So I'm going to first start out by kind of unboxing everything and giving the directions a quick look over, getting everything set up. Now these little wooden pages, we'll call them, are alphabetized, and so I ordered them in the alphabet order. That way I knew when the instructions said I needed something from B, I could grab B right away. I am using clear craft glue, and I put it in this tiny little bottle that I bought from, I want to say it was from Temu. It came in a package with like 8 of these little bottles, but that way I have a really fine detailed tip to be able to glue pieces. Now most of these pieces actually snap together. It was very little that I had to glue on, and it lets you know on the instructions, you know, if you need to glue something. But if something felt a little loose, like this one piece here that I'm working on, the edges felt a little loose, so I tapped a little bit of glue in there. The problem is, unlike hot glue, you know, it takes a minute for this glue to set up, and so I was kind of struggling keeping that together. All right, so the first question that we are going to tackle is, where did Happy Tuesday come from? Now, if you've read my little short bio, and it is very short, it just says that Happy Tuesday was a phrase my mom and I shared, and she gave me my love of crafting. And so this is kind of a channel in memory and dedication to her. My daughter, my oldest, when she went off to college, she was a little bit homesick, and she was only a little over an hour away. And so on Tuesdays, I would drive up and have dinner with her. And on the drive, I started calling my mom. Now, my mom had been pretty much homebound. I want to say probably 7 or 8 years at that point. And so we were doing a little bit more chatting, I think, than normal anyway, just because, you know, she didn't have a whole lot to do other than sit in her chair and do puzzles and, you know, watch TV and that kind of stuff. And she was living in Michigan and I live in Texas. And so I thought it would be a great opportunity to have an hour of uninterrupted time to spend with my mom. So I started calling her. And, you know, the first couple of Tuesdays came and went, and then it became a habit. And so every time she would answer the phone, she would say, "Happy Tuesday." And, you know, so it just became a thing. And a couple of times I think I might have disappointed her and I didn't call, because she would tell her friends, you know, don't come over on Tuesday, don't call me on Tuesday, because Leslie's going to call me on Tuesday. It's Happy Tuesday. And I can think of one instance, and it makes me sad, that I got busy on the drive up to my daughter and I didn't call my mom. And she was disappointed, and you know, even though she tried to not make me feel bad, it made me feel bad anyway. And so after that, I never missed another Tuesday. And she passed, it's almost 13 years ago now, and Tuesdays are still kind of hard. But this is a way to honor her memory, and yeah. So that's why Happy Tuesday.
Okay, so we are going to move back into this little craft, and this is a little coffee grinder, came with all the pieces, and we just snap them together. Now the instructions go step by step by step, and each little individual piece that you're putting together, it kind of walks you through that. Not a lot of words, mostly pictures. You just kind of have to see what's on the picture and you know, move on to the next thing. So if you need a lot of written directions, this probably isn't for you. It also does let you know when you need one of these little sticky glue things to, you know, put whatever the piece is onto the shelf or whatnot. In this case, it was a shelf. Now we're going to start putting together the cash register, and like I said over in the book, it gives you the exact number of the piece and where they snap together, and it's just a really good visual site to see. So if you're not a visual person, that would, again, probably be difficult. But I found the instructions really easy to follow, and there were a few times I had to take things apart and kind of rearrange them. It didn't, you know, I wasn't paying as clear attention to the picture as I needed to, and but you know, it wasn't anything big, and I think overall when by the time I finished the project, it probably was in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 hours, and I would probably lean a little heavier on the 8 hours just because you know, I took some breaks, I waited for some things to dry before moving on to the next step, and I really just kind of took my time.
Okay, some more about me. So I am a real estate broker. I've been selling real estate for a little over 25 years now. I own my own boutique firm with a handful of agents, and I like to keep it small so that I can actually, you know, be available when they need me. And being in real estate has allowed me a lot of flexibility over the years. You know, I started when my kids were still young, and it allowed me to be able to spend summers with them, and they would drive around and help me put signs in yards and put flyers out and that kind of stuff. And it also has allowed me in this season of life to be available to take care of my dad. He lives with me. Moved in here a little over a year and a half ago, and lots of doctor's appointments, and he had a hip replacement done, and so, you know, needing time available that I could spend with him and take him to his different appointments and whatnot, real estate has been good. But it's also very stressful because it seems to never end, and so crafting has kind of been my go-to stress release, to be able to refill my cup, as it were. And so I don't know, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. My daughter has a YouTube channel, and I love watching her. It's a travel channel, so it's, you know, it's not for everybody. She's a flight attendant with a major U.S. airline. Is that what she says? And anyway, and so, you know, I was always just amazed at the things that she did with her channel, and so she was over at the house one day crafting, and she said, well, Mom, if you're going to craft anyway, why not film it, and then you can post it on YouTube. And I thought, well, okay. So I came up with the name Happy Tuesday, and I parked it, and I did nothing for a while, you know, getting ready to get ready. So it was a little daunting, a little scary. Yeah, I've never done anything like this before, and you know, didn't know the first thing about editing videos or doing any of that kind of stuff. And she's so busy, you know, flying, and she and her husband have 6 dogs, and you know, of course, she was managing her channel and content and whatnot. And so I, you know, other than a few questions. I really didn't get a lot of help from her. Not because she didn't want to help me, but you know, she's just so busy. And so I started filming, and I think it took me a little over a month after I started filming to actually start editing the video and taking it live. And I haven't missed a week since. That's kind of crazy. So every Tuesday I release, and that's kind of how YouTube got started. My husband and I have 4 kids, 3 girls and a boy, and they're all married. And then we have 3 grandkids, 2 granddaughters and a grandson. And they are everything. And then I also have siblings. I have a sister who lives in Florida, a brother who lives in North Carolina, another brother who lives in Oklahoma. And so I try to make time to see each of them as well, as often as I can. And then I have my fur baby. Let's see if I can get her over here. Gingy, come here. Come here. Oh, she's sitting in my little corner with me. This is Ginger. She's a 7-year-old Maltipoo, and we rescued her from a, I would call it a bad situation. I don't think they meant for it to be a bad situation, but she was being raised with large search and rescue dogs and outside, and she needed a home where she could be loved by herself. And she is very spoiled, as my kids would say. My grandkids too. They all say she's spoiled. So that's Ginger.
Okay, back into our project, and you can see I've gotten a lot put together there. The first, I don't know, I want to say probably 10 or 12 steps were a lot of putting tiny pieces together, and as the steps go on, then you know, the pieces are a little bit bigger, and you're kind of putting pieces together. So here's where I am getting ready to kind of set up this wall, and it has a hinge so that you can actually open it up, and I'll show you that feature when we do the reveal at the end. But you know, just following along with the instructions. Again, I'm gonna say that I found the instructions pretty easy. I found the overall making of this very enjoyable, and I would recommend these kits. I think they would be a great kit if you love miniatures, but you want everything already put together for you, or maybe even a gift.
All right, let's tackle a few other questions. Morning person or night owl? I am definitely a night owl, and it's nothing to see me crafting until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I like when the house gets quiet and everybody's in bed, and everybody, I mean my dad, my husband. You know, I just like to kind of zen out, and that's relaxation to me. A little bit of something playing in the background, whether I'm watching it, whether I'm not, and me and my crafting. So night owl, definitely night owl. Favorite season? You know, I love all the seasons for different reasons, and I love at the intervals they come in. In Texas, fall is kind of a short season-ish. Winter, even shorter season-ish. But I love the changing of the colors. I grew up in Michigan, and my husband and I still have a house there. So I don't get there as often as I used to since my dad is here and needing more care. But my husband, he travels for work, and so he's back and forth between that house and this house and all the places that he's traveling. I think today he's in Minnesota, maybe flies into Chicago tonight. He's in Chicago tomorrow. He'll get back to Texas on Friday, so it's a crazy life. But grew up in Michigan, and so when I moved to Texas 34 or 5 years ago, it was very difficult and still is difficult. Two things. One, in the summer when you go out, even after the sun has gone down, it could still be hot, very hot. We're in Michigan, it cools down when the sun goes down. And the second thing is that the colors don't really change here. We don't have a lot of, I think they're called deciduous trees that change colors. And so, fall is green to dead. And we typically don't see that until, October, November. It doesn't really even start cooling off until, October. And my line for cooling off is usually Halloween. By Halloween, it's going to start cooling off here. So favorite season, crafting favorite season would be Christmas, of course. I love all the Christmas colors and just the Christmas spirit in general. But as far as like outside seasons, I think spring, because I love the color of green that comes only in spring.
Now, if you're interested in any of these kits, I will have a link below where you can order them. And also below, I will give you a coupon code. You can get 10% off your order. And like I said, I think they'd make great gifts for that crafter in your life, that loves miniatures and doesn't mind tiny pieces. I know some of our old and arthritic hands, can't really do the tiny pieces, even though we might love them. But for a gift, I think it's a great idea. Anyway, so I'm just going to continue along with this project. I am working on a little shelf right now, and they gave me the little frames, and the pictures were stickers. That's one thing that I didn't like, is there are some things, and this is one of them, where the sticker is on the back side, but you really need the front side, and so the back is sticky, and it's sticking to me as I'm trying to glue it on there. So I didn't really appreciate that part. For those pieces that are glue-on pieces, maybe they shouldn't have been stickers. Maybe they should have just been like little pop-outs on a cardstock or something. But I think there were only 3 or 4 of those little pieces that I had to deal with, so it wasn't that big a deal. And honestly, I could have just cut them off of the sticker page instead of pulling it off as a sticker. So I could have done that differently too. There were a couple of pieces I didn't know what to do with, and I didn't remember seeing them on the instructions anywhere. And they were these little like plastic sticker looking things. Maybe those were what was supposed to go on the back side of these pictures. I don't know. I didn't see them listed in the directions. And also, we're going to speak about extra pieces. There were a few of the smaller pieces that there were multiples of, so in case you got a little too rough with one of them. But I didn't really break anything, and so I didn't have to use any extra pieces that came along with it, but they did have a few. So we are just going to continue moving along this little shelf. I've gotten the little grandfather clock put together, and I had put together all these tiny little books. They had the stickers with the wooden pieces, so you just put the stickers on the outside of the books. And now I'm gluing the stacks together.
Let's see, favorite holiday. I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving and all our favorite foods and all the family. We have some adopted children here that, we have over during the holidays. And I just love the time that we get to spend together, and it's not, rushed with presents or, getting here, getting there, or all the things in some of the other holidays. It's just sitting down to a great meal and enjoying company. So I would say Thanksgiving.
All right, moving along. Now we're going to be putting in a door. I did want to point out the kit also came with what they called PVC, but it was plastic, and it was pre-cut just like everything else that you can put on all the open doors and windows and whatnot. There were a couple of window pieces, and I didn't show those to you, that are kind of rounded, and so in order to glue those together and keep them together, I had to use some clips to do that. And I think there might be a better way to manage that. Maybe with stickers on what they call their low PVC so that, it sticks on better than just using the glue. But that's just a thought. I mean, using the clips to hold it together and letting the glue dry worked just fine. So no big deal. And then we are going to move on from here. There was some furniture that we had to put together. You'll see the little couch, and I bent this sticker in the wrong direction, so my couch has that little seam going down the middle.
Biggest goal this year, I would say I'd like to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's been slowly growing. We are almost at the 2-year mark, and we're at almost 7,200 subscribers. So I would really like to, get that last 3,000 subscribers between now and the end of the year and hit that 10,000 mark. I don't know whether I'm growing slower or faster than other channels out there. I really don't know. A little bit slower than what I had hoped maybe. But I'm also a little bit different of a crafter. I don't do the Mod Podge thing. I'm not taking you shopping in Michael's or Dollar Tree or anything like that. I like the go to your outdoor store and find something and make it beautiful for your home. Kind of that rustic look. And it's not for everybody, and that's okay. And I think too, some of the crafts I make are a little bit more difficult because I like to challenge myself, and maybe other people are daunted by that. They're not as willing to try a more difficult craft than they are maybe throwing some Mod Podge on a stack of wood and throwing a napkin on it. but it's me, and I'm going to stay true to who I am and the things that I like to do. So why did I start YouTube? I think I already kind of got into that a little bit. My daughter Kat definitely encouraged that. And it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really enjoying it. My most favorite comment that people say about my channel, I think, would be that my voice is very calming. And, it was something that my brother said. He was one of my first subscribers, my youngest brother, Joe. And he said, my voice was very calming. So he liked to listen to me, on his way home from work. And it just kind of soothed out his day. And I thought that was kind of cool, that I can be a calming effect to people. So, yeah.
Well, since I did bring up subscribers, if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I hope that you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Give today's video a big old thumbs up and share it with your friends. And comment down below. Now, this is honestly the part of the project that I understood the least from the directions. I think there could have been better instructions on how to handle the electronics. The picture really didn't show me well where all the pieces needed to go and how to set up the lights so that they lit up in the right areas underneath there. And then you hide the cords, which was great. I thought that was perfect. And there's a built-in spot where those cords can go, so that you're not seeing them, and that was great. But in the picture, it shows that you should be able to touch a spot on the top that's like an on-off switch, and be able to turn the light on. Couldn't find that spot. But there's this little hidey hole in the back that you just saw me messing with. And so I just turned the on-off switch and stuck it in there. And that way, I can get to it and turn it on and off. So that was probably what I liked the least about this kit, was just explanation of this whole light feature, and how that all kind of fit together. I thought there should have been a little bit better explanation of that. Otherwise, I enjoyed the project very much. I thought it was a great change of pace.
And I think maybe the last thing I'd like to talk about is, or my last question is, what motivates me on a hard day? Since my dad has been here, I think I've struggled with a few more hard days than I used to. Caregiving is very hard and stressful. So on my hard days, I have to go back to something that my friend Tawana used to say to me, and not just to me, she said it to a lot of people, but her mama said it to her, and it was in the Bible. It said it came to pass. It always said it came to pass. It never said it came to stay. And so on those hard days, I just have to remember that it came to pass. God never said it came to stay.
All right, so here's one more quick look at this little box. It's got all that information. And here is our final reveal. The door opens in the front, and you can see in this very detailed corner coffee shop. I love, love, love all the detail of this little miniature. And then you can just flick this little piece down at the end. It snaps in for when you want the door closed, but you can open it up and then be able to see all the way inside. There's place to sit, little muffins to have, all the little coffee displays and the pictures and the little coffee bags. I mean, it is just so detailed. I love this so much, and I think this is going to inspire me to redo my little coffee bar this year. So maybe we'll do that as a project coming up. I did make that cute little coffee bean project a while back too. So thank you to CuteBee for putting together such a cute project.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, normally I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects, but this week I'd like to get to know you too. So any of the questions that I've answered during this video, I would love for you to comment below and give me your answers. I am so excited about my Happy Tuesday family, and I'd like to get to know you better too. So, until next week, make it a great day, and Happy Tuesday!